Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here, and the TIFF lineup is announced. For the gala and the special screenings, there is more to come. There's more to come, but this is the bulk of what we have. Last year, they announced Spencer and the Humans late, so there could maybe be like one or two more movies. I'm hoping they carry over a couple of the big ones from Venice. We'll also talk about the Venice movies, but we're going to break down TIFF first, because that just happened. Let's start with the big movies, the heavy hitters here. Women Talking just got announced for TIFF. We still don't have an image, we still don't have a trailer, but obviously this is a movie on my best picture predictions and very highly anticipated film from Sarah Polley. The festivals were reportedly fighting over who got the premiere, and I guess it was TIFF. Also, very big announcement, Empire of Light, which also has this very nice first image. Deacon's doing the cinematography, and you can see here that there's lots of cinematography going on in this picture. I was not sure if this was going to be like a fall festival movie or something like, Mendes just did with 1917 that comes out in December, but here we are. It's going to go to TIFF. I feel like that maybe means the studio was pretty confident about their test screening. A couple reactions from the test screening suggested that maybe this is not the Oscar player people think it is, outside of Olivia Colman, who's like being schizophrenic and is clearly getting another nomination. It's also a contender for cinematography, of course, and score, so it's a good sign that this is going to TIFF. I think they may be anticipating the audience will like it. The other movies I'm most anticipating, we got The Sun. We got images from The Sun. We got this, Hugh Jackman, looking all solemn, not knowing what to do in his life. And there's another image where we got Hugh Jackman, Laura Dern, and Zen McGrath, who plays the son. I really am looking out for Zen McGrath now. This movie's due in Venice. Definitely anticipate that the movie is at minimum a screenplay and acting contender. Also very excited for The Whale. Look at Brendan Fraser. This is our first look at Brendan Fraser in The Whale. Maybe Hugh Jackman's number one competitor for the Oscar, and in fact, is he number one on my predictions? Is Hugh Jackman? You'll have to stay tuned for those predictions, which should be coming soon. Brendan Fraser, I think, may even have a meteor role, perhaps, and he has makeup. So does he have Hugh beat? We will see. We will have to see. But I'm very happy this was announced. I would have been extremely bummed if this was only Venice and skipping TIFF, but it is not. So those were the movies I was the most happy to see today, but there's a lot of other goodies in here. The lineup is stacked this year, okay? Fall festivals are back. We're just going to go down the list in alphabetical order, and we're going to point out what's interesting. A Jazzman's Blues. This is a Tyler Perry, I believe it's a drama. I've never seen a Tyler Perry movie. I reserve all judgment for his films, and maybe he's like turning a corner here. Maybe this is a new phase in his career. I have a feeling that maybe it's going to be a little sappy and melodramatic. It's a story of forbidden love and family secrets, period drama, so it really does sound kind of melodramatic, which, may or may not be a bad thing. This movie, in the gala presentations, Alice Darling, Anna Kendrick captures the anxious psychology of a woman in an abusive relationship as her friends try to reconnect with her on a college getaway. Sounds kind of weird, a little bit interesting. All Quiet on the Western Front. Potentially a foreign film contender that Netflix has. And I thought this was going to be in black and white, but it looks pretty colored, but also like nearly black and white, with a little bit of blue thrown in there. And it is obviously a new adaptation of the novel. Definitely have my eye on that one. Could maybe get sound nomination as well. Hallelujah. This one was low on my radar, and I'm kind of glad that it was there. Richard Eyre is re-teaming with Judi Dench, who I believe is in a supporting role. Here she is. Here is Judi Dench. This is the main character, Jennifer Saunders. And it is based on a play. Very British, perhaps a BAFTAs thing to some extent. Best British film contender at minimum. A spirited homage to the idiosyncrasies of old age and the fortitude of healthcare workers. Sounds like a crowd pleaser to me. Black Ice seems like it could be a documentary contender, perhaps. We have a movie where Mia Wasikowska is hanging out with some fish. There are a lot of movies at TIFF, like last year, there was The Starling, where Melissa McCarthy made friends with a bird, and then there was Penguin Bloom, where Naomi Watts made friends with a bird, and perhaps this is, Mia Wasikowska making friends with a fish. I would include St. Vincent with Naomi Watts in that same sort of category of movies about people making friends with birds. Now, you don't have to be a movie about somebody making friends with a bird to be in this category of movies about people making friends with birds. To me, that's just like a type of TIFF movie that has like 1 or 2 stars that's gonna get like okay to mediocre reviews. People aren't really gonna care about it, but it's like enough of a drama that it will be there. Broker's back. A lot of Cannes movies that you will see here. Unfortunately, I do not see Close and After Sun, which were some of my favorites of Cannes. I really wanted to see After Sun. Maybe that will be announced later because this is not the complete lineup. I want buzz for that movie. It is one of the best of the year. Bros. Comedy of the year coming right here. Perhaps very crowd pleasing. I think they're probably very confident. That's why they're premiering at TIFF. Test screening reactions were rousing. I hear that this played extremely well to a crowd. It'll probably be really, really fun to see with a crowd. This movie, don't know much about it. It was announced kind of early, but it does take place in Canada. And we have seen before that sometimes random Canadian dramas will place at TIFF. So I'm kind of thinking like, what if this movie Brother places at TIFF in a surprising way? But it is very stacked this year. Butcher's Crossing is a movie I did not know about today, and now I'm excited. Nicolas Cage is in this movie. Here he is riding a horse. This image looks pretty nice. It's based on a novel that people think is very good. Oh, look, written by John Williams, probably the composer John Williams. Who knew that he was an author? A frontier epic about an Ivy League dropout as he travels the Colorado wilderness. I'm not necessarily saying that anyone's going to get a Best Actor nomination for this, but it seems kind of interesting. And perhaps another good role for Nicolas Cage. Notably, the director, Gabe Polsky, is good at directing documentaries. He did Red Army, which has an 83 on Metacritic. Catherine Called Birdy is a Lena Dunham movie. I do not anticipate that this will be that good. Lena Dunham's movie at Sundance did not get good reviews. Probably not going to hear much about that later in the year. Causeway. This used to be called Red, White, and Water. We've been waiting to hear if this movie exists. And here's our first look at Jennifer Lawrence having post-traumatic stress disorder, perhaps reflecting on her experiences in the war. That is what the movie's about. And Brian Tyree Henry is also in it. It's a debut film, and A24 has it. I am very unsure of what this will be like. Chevalier. I'm taking a swing by calling it Chevalier instead of Chevalier, and I might be right, and I don't know if I'm right. But look at this. Kelvin Harrison Jr., what is he doing? He is in a historical drama, and the film is spotlighting a brilliant black artist whose legacy has been woefully obscured, as the description says. Something about this movie is Oscar Beatty. Look at the costumes that people are wearing. Could this be like Cyrano this year? Get some Best Actor buzz for Kelvin Harrison Jr. Get costume buzz. I will have to place it on my list somewhere in those categories. That is interesting. And Searchlight has that movie. Corsage was at Cannes. I did not see it. I've heard it was pretty good. Decision to Leave, doing the festival circuit. I'm really curious how this will play at TIFF. Maybe it will increase its Best Director buzz or buzz in other categories like screenplay. I don't know if I care about this movie. It kind of seems like Top Gun Maverick, perhaps unfortunately timed with Top Gun Maverick, or perhaps fortunately because now people want to see this kind of thing. Jonathan Majors is in it, and this guy was from Top Gun. Glass Onion was announced before, so we already knew this, but very exciting that the Knives Out sequel is happening, and there's some confidence behind this one that I've heard from Netflix, so you got to watch out for Janelle Monáe apparently as a supporting actress contender. We'll definitely be seeing this, and from what I'm hearing, I think it's going to live up to the first, which is saying a lot. Holy Spider, good movie from Cannes. Hunt, a movie from Cannes I did not see, and I heard that it was okay. This is a movie from Cannes that I did not see, that I hear is very good, and I want to check it out at TIFF. A Pakistani family confronts emotional intimacy and social expectations when their son begins performing with a trans dancer in Saim Sadiq's staggering debut feature. And I do hear it is staggering. On Letterboxd, this movie has a 3.8, and it won Uncertain Regard. It did? Interesting. I shouldn't have missed that. Definitely looking forward to Moon Age Daydream. I hear this is a really, really, really good documentary about David Bowie that Neon has and will probably be a documentary feature contender. Not sure how much I care about this movie. Moving on from Paul Weitz has Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin. It's another movie about people who befriend birds. It's for older audiences to have like nostalgia for the two stars. They're going to be charming. It's probably going to be a dramedy. It's probably going to be very light and breezy. We know those kind of movies. They happen at TIFF all the time. My Policeman from Michael Grandudge, which he did a movie with Colin Firth called Genius that nobody cared about, even though Colin Firth was in it. So I'm kind of like skeptical about this one. However, Harry Styles is in it. There's been some positive buzz about his performance. Amazon has it. People are excited about this because of Harry Styles. I don't anticipate that it's going to be like one of the best movies at the festival. We'll see if it's even worth checking out. I don't know. Don't Worry Darling is not here. But Don't Worry Darling is coming out in late September anyway, so we're not really missing out that much on that. Nanny from Sundance. I didn't really know exactly what to make of it, if I'm being honest, but it was quite interesting. No Bears, Jafar Panahi. I believe that he just got put in jail. He just got sentenced to 6 years in prison, but he's a very well-known filmmaker. Honestly, I've heard a lot of good shit about him. but I have not seen one of his movies. One Fine Morning. It's a pretty good movie. People seem to like it more than I do. Raymond and Ray. I suspect that this could be a movie about people befriending birds because the title is sort of quirky. It's like a dramedy and it has some stars in it. Ethan Hawke, Ewan McGregor, we like them. The director of Albert Nobbs, we know what that is. That got nominated for Oscars. It is about two estranged half-brothers reuniting to bury their father. Yeah, I think this will be like, you know, on the better end of movies about people befriending birds. You know, a lot of the gala presentations don't seem nearly as good as the special presentations. I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know what this movie is. I don't know what this is. I don't know if I care about this movie. But the special presentations have a lot going on. A Sidney Poitier documentary. A Sidney Poitier documentary. Interesting. Okay. May have to put that on for a documentary feature. Banshees of Inisherin. This is also doing Venice. It's Martin McDonagh's new film. He hasn't done anything since 3 Billboards. Reunites Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson with the director. Since we've had some potential dropouts with Rustin and Killers of the Flower Moon being heavily rumored to be coming out next year, and I think that they probably have credibility to those rumors, people have sort of speculated maybe Colin Farrell could get a Best Actor nomination. And of course, this could be a screenplay contender because In Bruges and 3 Billboards were both nominated. A pitch black comic fable of wounded friendship and the perils of petty grievance. Seems interesting. This will probably be a good movie. I would be surprised if it was not at least good. Screenplay good? Best Picture good? We don't know yet. We don't know. This is another movie that I missed at Cannes that I heard about later, and I heard it was really, really good. A tender tribute to tradition and the craft of love. I do not know what that means. I just heard the movie was good and could be an international feature contender, perhaps. The Eternal Daughter, from Joanna Hogg, director of the Souvenir movies. A haunting mystery, starring Tilda Swinton in dual roles as both a middle-aged daughter and her elderly mother, who I believe is a ghost, because this is somewhat of a ghost story, so that is interesting. Tilda Swinton, once again, affirming her reputation, playing multiple characters, doing weird shit, perhaps wearing old makeup. Very excited for this one. The Good Nurse is premiering here. This is a Netflix movie. Academy Award winner Eddie Redmayne. Academy Award winner Jessica Chastain. She plays a hospital nurse faced with the growing suspicion that her coworker and friend is quietly killing off patients. It is a true story crime thriller from Tobias Lindholm. I've talked about this in prediction videos. Some people may be cynical and be like, oh, Eddie Redmayne. But Tobias Lindholm's a good director. We've said it before. We'll say it again. He's done good stuff. He's written good stuff. So I have a little more faith in this than perhaps some. I don't expect it to be like the biggest or best movie at the festival, but it's one to keep an eye on, and it's interesting to see it here. And then The Greatest Beer Run Ever, the follow-up to the Best Picture winning Green Book. Aren't we all so excited for this one, fellas? It is about a guy who is delivering a case of beer from New York to Vietnam with his buddies. Russell Crowe, a potential supporting actor contender. Bill Murray, also in it. Probably a crowd-pleasing war movie. Will it place in people's choice? Will it do as well as Green Book did and really charm the fuck out of people? Green Book seemed to very quietly like sneak into the festival conversation, so maybe that is what this movie is doing. It is coming out in September though. The Lost King. Oh, look at this. This poster explains so much. We have so much information from this poster. We know exactly what kind of movie this is. We know exactly how quirky it is. The director of Philomena and the Queen. It's almost like a sitcom-y British romp. Possibly, you know, very charming. Gonna have a tearjerker moment somewhere along the way. Feels like it could have been made in 2006. But Sally Hawkins in the lead role, she's probably gonna be pretty good. The Menu. I have heard that this is a good-ass script. And this may be a very fun, twisty, darkly comedic thriller. Ray Fiennes and Anya Taylor-Joy are probably gonna be very good in it. The description calls it a satire. It seems interesting. And I do kind of look forward to it. I think it'll probably get pretty good buzz. The Swimmers is the opening night film. That is pretty interesting because I have not heard of this movie at all. Now, being the opening night film at TIFF doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be great. As we saw last year, Dear Evan Hansen, most people hated that movie. Demolition was the opening film at TIFF, and that got mixed reviews too. In fact, the opening film signifies, if anything, that you're probably not like in the Oscar conversation, but this could be an interesting one. It's a true story about two sisters who left their home in war-torn Syria, so they're refugees looking for a new life in Europe, and they competed in the 2016 Summer Olympics for swimming. So inspirational, perhaps. There's like a lot here in this plot description that could make for a really good movie that perhaps surprises people at the festival. And since this is the opening night film, nothing else will be screening and I will probably see it. And it's interesting that they selected it, so I hope that this is good. I'm hoping for a surprise this year. I'm hoping for there to be a random movie that's barely even on my radar that just suddenly knocks the roof off of. Why wouldn't we want something like that to happen? The Woman King? Every time I watch this trailer, I just think it looks better and better, honestly. Like, the cinematography looks great. Viola Davis looks great. The costumes look amazing. It is doing that thing where it premieres at TIFF and then comes out at the end of the month. But honestly, like, this looks like a really good historical epic, and I am excited for it. The Wonder, directed by Sebastian Lelio, with Florence Pugh. And who is shooting this movie? Who is shooting it? It's Ari Wegner, who shot The Power of the Dog, Academy Award nominated cinematographer. We also have Academy Award nominee Kieran Hines, Niamh Algar, Tom Burke. Good British cast here. Probably a good British movie. Not really expecting an Oscar thing. And Sebastian Lelio, interesting director. A Fantastic Woman, which won the Foreign Film Oscar. He directed Gloria, and then he remade his own movie, Gloria Bell. He directed Disobedience, so I think this will be a good movie. Triangle of Sadness. I expect that this movie is going to maintain some really strong buzz throughout the entire year, and going to TIFF is the perfect place to keep doing that. I think this will be like one of the biggest movies there, and it makes me curious if this movie can get into the Best Picture conversation, and I feel like it could. I really feel like it could. And finally, Wendell and Wild. I'm very happy to see this here. It's nice to have at least one animated movie. Key and Peele voice acting in the two main roles. Angela Bassett's in it. And it's from the director of Coraline. It's a stop motion film. It looks weird, it looks fun, and I'm excited to see it. It's probably going to be an animated feature contender as well. The animation looks really cool and stylish.
I'm realizing that I did not talk about The Fabelmans. I thought that I talked about it in the beginning, so I skipped it. How could we forget? Steven Spielberg is going to be a heavy contender for the People's Choice with this movie, which is probably going to be like his Belfast, but better because it's Spielberg. We didn't know that this was going to be a TIFF. We thought that, Spielberg could hold for the end of the year like he's done with a lot of his movies recently, but there must be confidence from the studio that this could do really well. Obviously, it's a massive Oscar contender. I expect it to live up pretty easily to what people think it's going to be. And just another reason that TIFF is just absolutely stacked this year.
And that's TIFF. That's a lot of movies that I want to see. And again, it's not the final lineup. So what else could be coming? It's a great big new mystery. Perhaps She Said. I hope they get Bardo. That's the one I really want to see. I hope they get Tar. Let's get into Venice. Let's just get into Venice. Blonde, one of the big premieres here. This movie's gonna be 2 hours, 45 minutes long. The trailer is out. It's mostly in black and white. Ana de Armas is not quite nailing the accent, but I don't think that means it's gonna be a bad performance. There's going to be other controversies that will be on people's mind. It looks super ambitious. It looks really well shot. I'm excited to see what it is, but I don't have expectations for what side I will be on for whatever discourse goes on here. It is NC-17. I feel like a lot of people who are really excited for it are going to end up not being into it. Tar from Todd Field. This movie's also really long. 2 hours, 38 minutes, I believe. The first minute of the trailer is Cate Blanchett close up, blowing smoke, and there's a voiceover about COVID and bugs and nature and some pretentious shit, and then she's conducting the orchestra. This seems like a very ambitious film. Todd Field probably trying to make a masterpiece. I feel like it's going to be like this year's Spencer, where Cate Blanchett will get buzz. The movie might be very fucking weird though. Or maybe it's going to be really good, have a ton of respect from critics. People will be hyping up Todd Field for another screenplay nomination, perhaps director. Is the movie accessible enough for Best Picture? I have no clue. Bardo is going to be around 3 hours long. We don't have an exact runtime. We have Athena from Rovan Gavras, and I think Netflix has this, and it could be France's Oscar submission, and the teaser that they released looks pretty good. Bones and All from Luca Guadagnino. That looks great. Timothée Chalamet, Taylor Russell, Cannibals, traveling across the country. Seems really interesting. Also hope that comes to TIFF too. I'm excited for Dreamin' Wild from Bill Pullman because Bill Pullman directed Love and Mercy, and that is still one of my very favorite music biopics ever. It stars Walton Goggins and Casey Affleck, which is probably why it didn't go to TIFF. And it's about the musical duo of Donnie and Joe Emerson trying to produce a record in the 70s. So it is another music biopic. Paul Schrader has a movie, Master Gardener. Joel Edgerton, Sigourney Weaver. I do not know what to expect from this, but definitely have it on my radar. Pearl from Ty West is going to be there. This is the prequel to X, which just fucking came out. There's already a trailer. It's already done. Seems interesting. You may have already seen the trailer. Don't Worry, Darling from Olivia Wilde. Again, this is not going to TIFF, but it's coming out at the end of September. So those are the movies that I'm looking forward to at TIFF and Venice. I'm not going to Venice, but I'm still looking forward to what other people have to say about stuff. Again, it's stacked. How many movies are going to be left this year after the festivals? I mean, Avatar, Black Panther, Babylon, I guess, is not doing them. I don't know where Shirley is. Last year we had a lot of contenders that premiered in like December or November. And this year is kind of the opposite. Stay tuned for our TIFF coverage because we're going to try to review a bunch of this shit and we're going to have a great time doing it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Which movie do you think is going to win the People's Choice?